Hello then, gang, the top 3. Right, crunch time now. I said that at top 5, I said that at top 10. But the top 3 now, podium positions, and most of you, I'm not going to lie, I've figured out who the final 3 will be. Shout out to Paulo Zazara, it's not you. So it's not. There's lots of players it's not that people kind of hope it was. But what I'm going to do in some of these episodes now is talk you through some players that they played alongside that maybe missed out on the list entirely, that we can talk about and acknowledge, really. But let's focus on the man first before we talk about his mates. And this guy, 2015 Parma drama. Pixie was an icon, he was a legend, but I didn't love him. I didn't love him in the same way that I love Jean Monnier. And finally for now, I mean there's a few days left of the transfer window, and who bloody knows, Jean Monnier. We spoke about him, he's the man from Juventus, he's not been playing a massive deal for them, but I wanted to get him in last window, but Juve were like, oh no, we see you as a rival. Clearly they now realise we are not a rival, we're far too above our station. We've got him in. I like a good loan signing as a striker, and this man could be phenomenal. Here he is, Jean Monnier, or Monnier, it could be Monnier. Don't slag me off. Reports reaching us here that a bid for Monnier has been accepted. Parma launched a late £27 million bid, which Juve accepted, and a contract has been offered. The player now discussing terms with the club. Dr. Benji had previously said that the business for this season had been done, but this turnaround brings some unlikely events late on in this transfer window. Monnier left the Parma facility this morning as he makes his way back to Turin to collect his belongings as he moves full-time to Parma FC. Breaking news, folks, Monnier set to sign for Parma. There is 8 hours to go on deadline day, and Monnier is signing for Parma. The deal has been completed. All it needs now is Parma's confirmation. The £31 million deal sees the Frenchman move to a team that he's been so successful at. Monnier is now a Parma player. It's happened. It's real. It's Parma drama. Surely not. And here he is then, the blonde assassin, the baby-faced assassin, was a player that we had for 4 years within the series. It's kind of weird to think now, but back then it was 100 episodes and we had him for 4 years, and you can see straight off the bat why we quite liked him. 5'11", French international, had a sort of love-heart attribute analysis graph, which I always preferred, to be honest. You can see there then very good finishing, a very determined player, and that came from what he did for me. But the story then kind of, as you hopefully saw it with some of the highlights packages, you would have seen then that we got him on loan in that first season and paid a bit of a premium for him, sort of 3 or 4 years into the save. We got him in straight away, 30 goals in 35 starts, was very, very impressive, 23 in the league, and there was that desire of, I've got to get him back, we need him back, we've got to have him again. So we did, and we got him back in, and 60 goals. I mean, we talk about Pixie, right? Pixie was a phenomenon, but 60 goals in the Parma side that we had was pretty ridiculous. 37 in 33 in league competition, 16 in 9 in terms of continental, 7 in 3 in the cups as well. So yeah, 60. I said that in 60 in 45. One of my favourite seasons ever. Jean Monnier was unreal. He followed that up again. When we finally bought him, £27 million was spent, 42 in 43 starts. Again, very, very impressive. And then our final season that we did with the series in general, it was 28 goals in 27, 28 starts in all comps though again. And yeah, had a little bit of an injury issue that year. I actually continued playing Parma, much like I continued playing Swindon, and in the season that went beyond that, 25 and 29, 17, 19 in the league. So he was doing it again for me. Mr. Consistent. Jean Monnier was everything. As I say, French international. Of course, we did a little bit of management with the French team as well, and he was a part of that series, so he kind of goes into 2 series in one sense. And he had a very intelligent and good cast with him as well. When you look at some of the players then we had at this side, a few of which are featured on this list. I was a legend of this save. Not too many legends in there, but of course, as you'd expect, Monier was in favour of personnel. I don't think any of the players, it was a lot harder back then, none of the players that I had in the series made it to iconic status or made it for legendary status, apart from myself, which I guess is kind of nice in a way. Seri, Robert, Chiron and Monier. And speaking of them then, let's look through some of the players that have missed out. Of course, Neri made the list, the goalkeeper, that I'm sure you're familiar with. Some of the defenders on in this save are very, very close. The likes of Manfredini, Carlos Roberto was quite close as well, an absolute tank at the back. They had some really good players in this side. Of course, Miguel Borba featured. DeMarco was one of my favourite left backs ever. I don't think we even had a left back make this list at all, but DeMarco was probably the top of the list. Kondogbia, before everyone in Europe seemed to know Kondogbia, we enjoyed him very much, and his strike partner towards the end as well, so Chiron, could have potentially been the best player in the world. Had we continued playing this, I suspect this Parma team would have been quite dominant. We also had Messi. People kind of forget that there's certain players that I've managed and you kind of forget that I've managed, but Messi was a pivotal part for a couple of seasons, or for one season at least. 12 assists, 15 goals. We had Lionel Messi at Parma, which I thought was fantastic, really. It was really fun to have him. Spent quite a lot for him because he was 36, but yeah, you can see 20s in his mentals there were pretty impressive. Amongst some of the players that I remember, I think Santiago Rubio probably stands out for a lot as well. And actually, one more player, I just noticed his name there, Alejandro Gomez. When I first created this list of 25 players, he was on that list, and then I thought I had to sort of weigh up, was it players or moments, and do I include moments in the top 25 players list? And I think, well, I can't have those moments without the players. If it was strictly players and it wasn't to do with the moments that they had, I think he would probably have been on there. In our first few seasons that we had with Parma, 19 assists in the first year, 12 in the second, and scored goals for fun as well. But go back to the main man then, Jean Monier. You saw from the highlights package, hopefully. He was, as I say, a hero for me. He was one of football's global superstars. There was a time when he went back to Juventus after the second loan spell. I thought we're never getting him back, and then paid big bucks for him. I'm interested, actually, was he the only transfer we made in that particular window? So when we actually signed him, was he? Okay, no, we spent big on lots of players. Chiron and Monier both came in. Carlos Roberto, no, we brought in loads of good players. Zidane was another one that came in and was an absolute star for me as well. A stud, I dare say. So there we are then. Jean Monier gets third on the list. I think if you watched Parma, you expected this. If you didn't see Parma, maybe go back and watch it and you'll see just why he makes it this high. A big goal scorer for big occasions, and yeah, completes the top three, kicks off the top three. Then two players remain. Lots of you at this point know who they are. Which way round will they be? Both episodes of that will come tomorrow on Christmas Eve. I'm not expecting you to be checking YouTube very much on Christmas Day. Spend it with your families by all means. So yeah, I'll see you again soon then for the story of the top two. Not far away now. Exciting times. If you enjoyed this, of course, do leave a like and want to see some more. Subscribe to the channel. Let me know, were you around at the time of Jean Monier? Let me know.